Hello, stranger friends. Welcome to my channel, or if you're new here, hey, I'm Carissa, and I had a baby October 2021, and before I had my baby, I didn't really think much about breastfeeding. I just thought, like, you just hold the baby to your boob, and that's that. They'll figure it out. And essentially, it is that, but it is also a little bit more nuanced. I wanted to share today 10 different ways that you can prepare for breastfeeding before even having your baby that can make a huge difference in the success and the joy and the comfort of your journey. Now, these are all things that you can easily implement at any stage of your breastfeeding journey, but I think that these are things that you could absolutely do ahead of time so that you're not kind of learning everything all at once when baby arrives. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Before I get into my tips, I wanted to say a huge thank you to Medela for sponsoring today's video. I'm sure you've heard of them before. They are a leading global player in innovation and technology surrounding breastfeeding. I was such a fan as a customer, and I was absolutely overjoyed that they wanted to partner with me in doing some breastfeeding content. They genuinely care about their products, about the people that use them, and I am really proud to be partnered with them on this content today. So please check them out in the info box down below. I will show you some of their products throughout the video. These are all things that I use and that I love and that I wholeheartedly recommend, and a thank you to them. All right, so my first tip for you is to take a class. I know it sounds really basic, but truly you will pick up so many different things. I have a bunch of suggestions that I'm gonna link below, including La Leche League. Medela has some wonderful stuff on their website. There is a wonderful course from the Balanced Boob. All of these resources are things that you can take ahead of time to learn tips and tricks, as well as a lot of these things have community support. So if you have a question, I'm sure there's been a million people asking the same question. You are gonna find an answer. So my next tip also pertains to community. Many of us haven't actually watched someone breastfeed up close. Like, I'm sure you've seen someone breastfeed. I'm sure that you've seen the back of a baby's head while somebody like holds a baby. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like up close and personal, watching somebody latch their baby on, seeing the positioning of how their baby is facing them, belly button to belly button, seeing how the baby is basically fed your boob as like a big chunk of boob. It's not like the baby suckling on the tiny little tip of your nipple. That's not how it works. There are so many nuanced things that you can really pick up by watching someone else breastfeed. Luckily, we live in a digital age. There are many different things online that you can find that show proper technique, but I would like to link a couple of videos that were really helpful to me to seeing what actually goes on when you breastfeed. My third tip is to prepare your space beforehand. You are gonna be spending a lot of time breastfeeding your baby. Like, it's genuinely shocking how often they feed in the beginning and how long they feed. Oh my gosh, I don't think that I was really prepared for spending that much of my day sitting down and feeding my child. And having everything that you need in one convenient space is so helpful. I personally set up a breastfeeding cart, basically like a tiered rolling cart that you can keep like your pump, your nursing pads, your burp cloths, your lanolin, your water bottle, like whatever you are using for breastfeeding. Keep it in that one area. And the bonus of that one is that it's like rollable and you can bring it wherever in the house you're planning to breastfeed. I got this idea from an Instagram account, Carrie Loker. I will link her down below in the info box. She's a wonderful resource for postpartum. All right, my next tip is all about food. Prepare food ahead of time. Anything that can get calories in an easy manner using one hand. So I'm talking things like lactation cookies, protein bars, protein balls, those little things, maybe muffins, things that you can eat one-handed that are already pre-prepped that you can just literally defrost or just grab out of the fridge and eat. Like, those types of things are a high commodity while you are breastfeeding, especially in the early days. You need so many calories and so much water while you're breastfeeding. And so really making sure that you have easily accessible food. I really like doing a large batch cooking of things. So I'll make like a huge thing of protein bars. I'll keep some of them out, freeze the rest, and then that will do me for the next couple of weeks until I do another round of them. So really highly recommend stocking your fridge and freezer with food that is highly caloric, high nutrition, and things that you are just gonna be easily able to grab for. I also have a really great lactation cookie recipe. If you're interested, I'm gonna leave that down below. Okay, my fifth tip has to do with pumping. Really research the pump that you are about to buy because you have to put thought into it of how you plan on using that. Are you a busy mom who has other kids that you're always on the go and you need to be able to pump in the car or pump on the go? Well, having a really big stationary unit probably isn't the right fit for you. Versus if you are somebody who is literally pumping exclusively, you want something that's really strong, hospital grade, get the job done, and you're just gonna sit there and pump and that's that. Maybe having a larger standstill unit might be a great fit for you. For myself, I originally had planned on renting a pump. You can phone up pharmacies and ask if they have breast pumps for rent, which I found out from my friend. Thank you so much, Renee. I was gonna rent the Medela Symphony for really realizing that I really value being mobile and I need to be able to pump on the go. And so I ended up with the Medela Freestyle Flex pump, which is a way better fit for me. Definitely learn the ins and outs of whatever pump you buy, take it apart, clean it, know how to put it back together, because this is something that you might be doing in the middle of the night, very sleep deprived. You don't want to be fiddling around with something. Another really handy skill to learn before is learn how to properly hand express your milk, because I definitely can tell you there will likely be a situation where you're really engorged and you just need your milk out and you might not have access to a pump, and it's not just as easy as just squeezing your boob to get the milk out. I am gonna link a video down below that's a really great visual on how to hand express. Hand expression is also something that if you are cleared to do at the end of your pregnancy, again, if you're cleared to do it, but to collect like colostrum. And you can buy like little syringes or things to collect your liquid gold in and then eventually feed to your little baby. Okay, number 7 is to learn how to store your breast milk properly, because you've gone to so much work to get it out. It sucks if you leave it on the counter for too long, or it gets pushed to the back of the fridge, or you just don't store it properly and then you have to toss it. It's heartbreaking. You are allowed to cry over spilt milk if it's breast milk, but let's try and avoid that entirely by storing it properly in the first place. Medela also makes these cool silicone breast milk collectors, and they have a suction cup on the bottom so they won't spill. But the cool part is they have, hi Goldie, they have these awesome stoppers. So if by some chance it did get knocked over, it's not gonna spill. I loved using the Medela storage bags, and I would label them, stick them into my freezer and freeze them flat so that I was able to space save. And then what I actually found out a couple of months ago is there are services that can freeze dry your breast milk. They remove the water from your breast milk and turn it into a shelf-stable powder. And it's so cool. Technology is incredible. You have options for storage. Tip number 8 is to make sure to include items on your registry for you. I feel like so many registries are always so centered around your baby. And to be completely honest, your baby really doesn't need a whole lot to start out with. They just kind of need you. And having items on your registry like nursing tanks and bras, silverette cups, a milk collector, nursing pads, period underwear to help with afterwards, or pads or whatever, things that make your day easier. Oh my gosh, include those. Tip number 9 is to have a plan for your nipples when they get sore, because it's gonna happen. Like at some point your nipples are probably going to get sore, and having some items to try is so helpful. So stuff like lanolin cream, silverette cups, using like saltwater rinses inside of like a breastfeeding collection cup, like things like that are so helpful. Even having like a head of cabbage stashed away in the back of your fridge, put that on your engorged boobs. Like, oh my gosh, these little things make a world of difference to just have available and ready to you to just try, because at some point in your breastfeeding journey, your nipples are probably going to feel a little bit rough and need a little bit of extra TLC. But with that said, if your nipples are constantly hurting, you should absolutely check your baby's latch. See a lactation consultant or ask a midwife or doula or whomever is in your area that you are able to ask. Have them assess your latch, because your nipples really shouldn't be hurting long term. Usually it's something that's an easy fix that then can be so much more comfortable for you. I'd also like to put a little personal side note there too. When my daughter was first born, we noticed that her latch, while good, it wasn't very strong. And we noticed that she was compensating with her jaw. So she was really munching on the boob rather than using her tongue effectively to draw the milk out. And so something that we personally looked into was suck training. And it's pretty much like little oral exercises of like sticking your finger in the baby's mouth in certain ways to kind of trigger their tongue to work more efficiently. And oh my gosh, it made a world of difference for us. Like truly, there are things to do if your nipples are hurting. So don't just grin and bear it. You should really, really ask and talk to people and figure out a solution, because you don't just have to live with your nipples hurting. My 10th and final tip is to really build your community and know who to call if you need support ahead of time. make sure that you research local lactation consultants or have a care team. Personally, I have a wonderful chiropractor who also does craniosacral work, and she is very well connected in the community here of knowing who to call when you have a tongue tie, or who to call when you need to talk about latching, or what to do if this, that, and the other. Having people in your corner that make you feel heard and make you feel supported and support your individual goals is so important, because this is a hard experience no matter what you choose. And having people that have your back really, truly matters. To conclude this video, you're not going to be able to control every factor, but you can prepare and educate yourself and feel empowered with that information to just go with the flow with whatever ends up coming up. It doesn't have to be all or nothing with breastfeeding. There are so many different ways to feed your baby, and your success as a parent is not determined by your success breastfeeding. Genuinely, you need to do what works for you and your baby. And at the end of the day, that's going to look different to what somebody else does with their baby. Breastfeeding is such a dance between you and your baby. You are both learning, you are both growing, and there will always be something new that you have to add to your toolbox. Like, my needs breastfeeding a newborn are completely different to my needs breastfeeding my daughter now at 1 year old when she's like climbing me like a jungle gym. I always am trying to implement new tips and tricks and learn how to best proceed forward. And I love that we've created a community online where we are able to share this experience with each other, because I truly feel as though parenthood is a community experience, and we just don't need to be isolated doing this. It is hard enough already. So coming together in places like this to talk about our experiences and share our tips, I think is so important. So please, if you have any breastfeeding tips, I would love to read them in the comments below. I highly recommend you all peruse the comments and see if there's anything else that maybe I missed or that might hit home with you and your journey. Another huge thank you to Medela for sponsoring today's video and for truly allowing me to do content like this from my voice and in my way. It means the world. I would love for you guys to check them out. I will leave info down in the info box for you, along with all of the other resources. I think that's it. I'm gonna lose my voice. I've been talking forever. My baby's awake. Perfect timing. Thank you again. I will see you in the next one. Peace.